All right, guys, I've got a special one for you today. I've got Mr. Evan Brannock. Now, Evan, let's just say this. I admire anybody who is going to tackle the Super Slam. Now, the Super Slam, I'm sorry, let me restart that. I admire anybody who's going to tackle the Super 10. The Super 10, we've all heard of the Super Slam, which is all 29 big game animals in North America. The Super 10 is one of each species. In other words, a deer, an elk, a sheep, a bear, a muskox, so on and so forth. I admire anybody who's going to tackle the Super 10. Now, for those of you that are going to tackle the Super Slam, I really admire. But Evan is going to tackle the Super 10 in a wheelchair, which is just absolutely insane to think about. I don't know if you've ever hunted out west. I don't know if you've ever ran up and down the mountains of Oregon, which is just, you can get into some crazy country in Oregon very quick, which is where Evan is at. But Evan is tackling the Super 10, and he's doing it in a wheelchair. He's harvested a caribou in the Bush Range of Alaska. He's harvested bears, spot and stalk in Oregon, which is just, it's so crazy to think about, much less the blacktails and the rest of the things he's harvested. Evan is such an incredible inspiration to overcome the obstacles to achieve the things I want to achieve. It's so easy to make excuses. It's so easy to say that's going to be too hard. That's never going to be able to be achieved. But here we have Evan, and he is tackling every obstacle in his way to harvest the Super 10. Some of his stories are very, very inspirational, but also just hearing him talk about overcoming everything he needs to overcome in order to complete the Super 10 is very inspirational. Guys, I hope you'll stay tuned right here to hear Mr. Evan talk about not only some of his most recent hunts, but just what's next. What kind of obstacles do you have to overcome in order to be able to do this? It's a very inspirational episode. As always, this episode is brought to you by ScentLock. Guys, I hope you enjoy.
With over 90 years of innovation, Bear Archery continues pushing toward the goal of founder Fred Bear, making archery accessible for all. Fred believed the history of the bow and arrow were the history of mankind, and everyone should immerse themselves in the outdoor experience. Welcome to the Bear Archery Podcast, where the mission is simple: to hunt, grow, and inspire others.
Guys, I'm an arrow junkie. I love arrows, and I have found a fondness for deer crossing archery. Everybody makes a good arrow. I'm not saying that anybody out there makes a bad arrow, but what really sets deer crossing archery apart is when I call them, I'm going to get the owner on the phone. I'm going to get the guy that's building my arrows on the phone, and they're going to walk me through a complete custom build. They're not shipping me a box of arrows that they ship out to everybody. I'm going to pick my knot colors, my fletching colors, my wrap colors, the fletching configuration I want on the arrows. Not only that, I'm going to walk him through my setup. I'm going to walk him through what I'm looking to get out of the setup. I'm going to tell him total arrow length I want to be hitting, total arrow weight I want to be hitting, total insert-outsert weight I want to be hitting, FOC, and he's going to custom build a set of arrows and send them to me. My arrows aren't going to be best for you. Your arrows aren't going to be best for me. We need custom arrows. Deer Crossing Archery builds those arrows custom for you, and they always perform. Their silencer shaft is my favorite arrow on planet Earth. I've shot 40 plus animals with that arrow. It always performs. It always blows through the animal. I always get great penetration. It's a micro diameter shaft. They do have a full line of shafts. The new Rupture arrow is a phenomenal arrow. I shot a deer with it this year in Missouri. I love their arrows. Guys, I would highly encourage you to check out Deer Crossing Archery, because you don't have to go to a box store and buy a set of arrows that are just made from the factory. You can get arrows custom made for you that are going to work best for you and your setup. Guys, use code Hunting101 to get a discount at Deer Crossing Archery. I would highly encourage you to check them out. They are phenomenal. All right, Evan. So give us an introduction to yourself, man. Kind of what all you do and how you got where you're at.
Well, my name is Evan Brannock. I'm 43. I live in Southern Oregon. Kind of self-motivated to get out and do the hunting, fishing thing, explore, and all that. I was born with spina bifida, so I've used a wheelchair and crutches forever. But as you've seen, if you've followed me on Instagram or Facebook, I don't let much slow me down. I've been all over the western United States. I've hunted Oregon, Wyoming, went to North Carolina at the beginning of September for a week, and I went to Alaska in 2021.
Now, for those of you who didn't just hear what he said, I don't know if you've ever hunted out west. I just got done with a week in Idaho, and well, let's just say as a dude with working legs, I thought I was going to die. So I see guys like Evan, and this is my first conversation ever with Evan, so I'm so excited to dive into this. But you've got a guy here who has decided to make the most out of a bad situation and get out there and grind. So I've got a lot I want to talk about, but I want to start by saying, quit your stinking excuses. Like, get out there and stinking hunt. Evan, man, you've got aspirations to complete the Super 10, which those of you who don't understand what the Super 10 is, there are 29 recognized North American big game hunts that you can go on. Inside of those is 10 subcategories. So if you look at bear, you can kill any of those bears. You look at deer, you can kill any of those deers. There's 5 North American deer. So the 29 would be that you've killed a whitetail, a Sitka blacktail, Columbia blacktail, mule deer, and a cow's deer. The Super 10 just says that you've killed one of each category. So caribou, sheep, goat, bear, muskox, all of the 10 categories. So Evan here has aspirations to kill the Big 10, which is an incredible feat for anybody to do, much less a guy in a wheelchair. What made you think, and I don't want to say what made you think it's possible, because it is possible. But what gave you that kind of inspiration and idea to think, I can do this?
I've just never really wanted to give up on life, and I've had some ups and downs like everybody else, but I just think that I can inspire a lot more people that don't think that they can do things like this if I go out and do it and show the world.
Yeah, and you can.
I've been, like I said, I've been all over the western United States, and I've hunted antelope, blacktail, multiple black bears. I went to Alaska and hunted the Brooks Range for 2 weeks for caribou. And I went to North Carolina beginning of September for a week for whitetail. Unsuccessful this time, but I'm going to go back and try it again.
Now, man, I've got so many questions. Where do I want to start here?
Go for it.
Caribou in a wheelchair. Like, dude, yeah. I don't know if you guys have looked at the Brooks Range of Alaska, but it don't scream wheelchair accessible. So, man, I can't even imagine getting off a stinking plane, like, and looking at that and thinking, let's tackle this. So,
I'll text you some pictures of it. It's pretty amazing.
I can't even imagine, dude. So what are all the kind of obstacles that we don't even realize that you have to face when doing something like that?
Travel mainly, like figuring out the logistics of like getting my chair and all my gear put together, and the time frame and all that. The weather wasn't really that bad. It was like 60-ish the whole time because we were there the end of August in 2021. So it was pretty mild weather actually for that time of year.
Now, and I can imagine that you've probably contacted many outfitters and they just say, hey, we can't make that happen.
Yeah, the one that I was in contact with for that one is actually a good friend of mine, and a couple other friends kind of got together and made a lifelong dream possibility for me a few years ago. We talked about it on and off growing up, and one of my friends is actually working or was working through one of the guide outfitters. I'll name drop. It's Big Game Backcountry Guides, Riley Pitts and Stephanie Pitts. And they helped me do everything I ever wanted to up there. It was amazing.
That is so cool, man. So cool.
Yeah.
And I face challenges even myself, and looking at challenges that I face and now hearing kind of what you do and you see your story, it's like, dude, get over it. Like, and I'll just tell you, I've got two people that listen to this podcast, and if they're listening, they know exactly who they're talking about, who I'm talking about. They're good buddies of mine. They're both teenagers. They both have special needs, but they both wanted to start hunting.
Yeah.
And to say that we face struggles, to get them into the whitetail woods would be an understatement. There were some struggles that we had to face.
Yeah.
But now looking at this, you just got to tell anybody, like, hey, the struggle is worth it. And the struggle makes it that much sweeter when you actually do get to harvest I shouldn't say harvest. I hate the word harvest. When you actually do get to kill an animal, that's what we're doing. We're killing animals. Let's be honest here, hunting community. We kill stuff. When you actually do get to kill the animal, it makes it that much sweeter when it all happens. So I just want to encourage people, like, don't stray away from the obstacle of, well, how can I make it happen? Accept the obstacle of, this is going to make it that much sweeter when it does happen. And that, man, it's so cool to hear your story and to see what you're doing. And honestly, it didn't take me much at all. I mean, you messaged me and I took about 30 seconds to look at your social media, and I'm like, a guy in a wheelchair completing the Super 10. Let's do this. Like, let's talk through this. Man.
Yep.
So tell me about the caribou hunt. Like, how did it even happen? How did you even, man, it's so hard to put a stalk on caribou and to get inside of range, not just of caribou, of anything in the West, and to get inside their bedroom and to kill them. How did that even play out for you, man?
So I didn't do it with a bow, so I know that's what Pope and Young does, but I was with a rifle, so I was relatively close. I was within 400 yards, which is still a pretty good close-up shot for them out in the open like that. And we were up on one of the rivers that was kind of like a pinch point where they had to go through a couple saddles to get past us. And we just had it timed just right. We made a couple of failed mistakes a couple times, not really failed, but just like didn't think all the way through. And I got a couple shots on one a day or two earlier, kind of rattled my nerves a little bit because I made a mistake and overshot. Didn't exactly judge the distance correctly. So that rattled me a little bit, but I knew I got almost 2 weeks. I can do this. I know there's one out there for me. And there was one out there in the herd of probably a dozen, I would call them trophy bulls, that just kind of gave me that clue that, okay, that's the one. He was older, big white mane, almost white, like the sheen to his velvet. He was a little slower than the rest of them, so I knew something was a little different about him. And he gave me a couple second opportunity after the others passed by him to make a shot at 450, and he fell right where he stood.
Dude, that's insane, man. So, now,
it was amazing. We were about 800 yards from camp when we first saw them, and we had to figure out how to get across the tundra to one of the gravel bars, which was about 400 yards from them. And it was a little bit of a rough experience. We kind of fell a couple times out of my chair. My buddy almost fell on top of me. I wish we would have had it on video. It would have been a pretty good video to have.
Dude, have you ever heard of Josh Carney?
Yeah, I follow him on Facebook and Instagram. I just haven't really got a chance to link up with him and talk in person or on the phone.
So here's my question. I've had Josh on a couple times, and he talked about his aspirations to want to go out west. and the limitations that obviously a wheelchair place on you out west. And there's some things in the work, I believe, to work with some I shouldn't name drop because I don't know if it'll happen yet, but some e-bike companies to try and build him a bike that'll get him where he needs to go. And anyways, I say all that. So what kind of wheelchair do you use to get through the stinking Brooks Range? I mean,
so it was a manual wheelchair, but it's got bigger tires on it.
A manual wheelchair?
Over the terrain. Yeah. Yeah, my buddy was pushing me across the tundra.
You got good buddies is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, he was right there 100% with me for the whole time. We were out there for 3 days straight, just us in nature.
Dude, I can't even imagine doing, I mean, some Western hunts push you so hard. I mean, even that elk hunt I was just on, it broke one of the dudes in camp. Like, he did not know what he was getting into. He did not know, we're going to be averaging 15 miles a day in some of the craziest country you've ever seen. I mean, it broke him. I can't imagine pushing a wheelchair through it. Like, dude, kudos to your buddy, man.
Yeah.
Holy cow. A manual wheelchair in the Brooks Range of Alaska, that is unbelievable. Now, here's my question for you. You would think whitetail would be the easiest to do in a wheelchair. I mean, roll me out into a field and put a ground blind over me, and I'm going to shoot a whitetail. Yeah. So why was that not one of the first things to mark off your list?
I don't know. I wanted to stay kind of local for the blacktail and the bear and the antelope for a little while. But I wanted to do the Brooks Range because I knew if I could conquer the Brooks Range, I could do anything.
100% you can. Now,
and it took a couple tries, like I said, but we made it happen. And I'm the only one in a wheelchair so far that I know that has been on the mountain and actually beat it.
Now, so have you killed a blacktail?
Yeah, I got 3 so far. And actually, all three are with my bow, actually.
Dude, congratulations, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll turn the camera. I got one on the wall behind me.
Nice. What a stud, man.
That one. Yeah. And then one of my bears. And then this guy.
Nice. The pride and joy of the trophy room right there. Now, so if you've already killed a blacktail, what's the focus on whitetail? Like, you've already marked off the deer species. Do you just want to kill a whitetail now?
Yeah, I'm actually want to try and do the slam. So I'm gonna see if I can get the slam.
The 29.
Mark all 5 off. No, the 5.
The deer
slam.
The deer slam. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And honestly,
so I want to do that. See if I can get that too.
And hey, I'm a deer hunter through and through. I mean, I live in the Midwest, grew up in the South, so I'm a deer hunter. That's 90% of what I do is deer hunting, and I hate to tell all the deer hunters out here, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you this: we've got it easy. That's the easiest form of hunting. As far as physical, any animal is hard to get in their bedroom and kill. That's not what I'm saying. But as far as physically demanding goes, we deer hunters have it easier than just about anybody. So, what made you choose North Carolina though? There's so much better whitetails than North Carolina, and I don't say that against North Carolina, but why not pick somewhere like Illinois, Iowa, Kansas? Kill you a stinking giant.
So. Yeah. Oh, I plan to eventually, but this was an organization that invited me out there. It's Big Hearts Outdoors. They invited me out there for a few days to go on a hunt with them. They have it planned every year. I think this was the first or second year that they did it, but they're planning on doing a lot more. And I think we had 49 hunters and 33 of them were successful for the weekend.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So just to recap, what species have you harvested already? What's already off your list for the
So
10?
I've got 3 blacktail, 2 black bear, a Brooks Range caribou, and a Wyoming antelope so far.
Awesome. Awesome, man. So
Yep.
what do you think is going to be the most challenging as you look at the list of 10? What is it that really, pushes you?
I think mountain goat.
Yeah.
Out of all 10, I think the mountain goat. Because we have them here in Northeast Oregon, has them, but they're in some of the most rugged country out there.
Yeah. I would definitely say the goat or the sheep. Just looking at terrain and availability of tags and price of hunt.
Yeah.
Now, with the way that the things have gone as far as tag prices, that offers a not even for people in a wheelchair, that offers a whole another slew of obstacles to get past. I mean, you're looking at
definitely.
you're looking at sheep costing, as much as a new pickup truck. So
yeah, the low was like $20,000.
Oh my gosh. So, and I've asked people that, who have aspirations or who have killed the 29, like, man, how do you even afford to do it? And then you've got the Wild Sheep Foundation, the Finales Club, like, how in the crap do you kill all the sheep? And honestly, it goes back to the obstacle of it. And it goes back to, if you want it, you're going to have to work for it. And, I've talked to guys who have killed the 29, and, I don't know if you're familiar with Frank Noska, but he's just a couple animals away from killing the 29 for the 3rd time. So all 29, 3 different times. And I've talked with him before.
That's
like,
crazy.
Frank, how do you even afford to do it, bro? Like, how does this dream even start to become a reality? He's like, well, man, I drive an old pickup with liability insurance and I don't get a new bow every year. And, I prioritize the money I spend on hunting over everything else. And that's just something that I wanted to, like, if you got a dream, chase it. Like, now hear me out here. I'm a family man with a wife and 3 kids. Like, I've got to make sure my kids eat and my wife has a home to live in. I can't just abandon all my responsibilities and say, but I want to kill a sheep. I can't just say that. However, for the guys who ask me, like, how do you afford an elk hunt? I'm like, dude, you buy a pack of cigarettes a day. Like, that's an elk hunt right there. Or heck, you buy a Starbucks a day, dude. That's $5 a day. That's your elk hunt right there.
Yeah.
You have to prioritize
out here in the
that.
West. Yeah. Out here in Oregon, for a non-resident, tagged and licensed is like $700 for an elk out here. And the odds are pretty low, but there are still a lot of elk out here on the west side of the state.
Yeah. Now, what elk species will you go after? Thule?
Out here, we have Rosies.
Are there not Thules in Oregon?
No, they're just in California.
Okay, California. I thought there were some Thules in Oregon, but I guess I was wrong. So, you'll just go after Roosevelts. Now, how come not find an outfitter with over-the-counter? I mean, because Oregon Roosevelts are hard to draw, even as a resident.
Yeah, we have a bunch out here on the west side. There's a lot of good Rockies up in the northeast corner of Oregon too, but that tag, even for a resident, takes close to 20 years to get.
Really?
So, yeah, there's a couple units that are unreal for quality. It's nothing to see 15 or 20, 320 to 350 bulls a day.
That's another thing is whitetail hunters. Like, we have nothing to complain about, man. Because, dude, I can hunt in Kansas as a resident. I just go buy my tag at Walmart and go hunt. I can drive over to Oklahoma, and they doubled their prices for tags this year. And I've talked about that on recent episodes, but they've doubled their tag prices, but I can still drive a couple hours and buy an over-the-counter Oklahoma tag, drive down to Arkansas, buy an over-the-counter tag, Missouri, Arkansas. Like, I can hunt so many whitetails as over-the-counters. Some people can't even fathom, like, wait, I live in my own state, but I still have to draw tags to kill these animals. And that's what's so impressive about the Super 10. Like, it takes years of dedication. This isn't just, I've got money and I like to hunt. This takes years of dedication of trying to draw tags and trying to get in on hunts. And then you add in the obstacle of a wheelchair and you're like, I got to find an outfitter that'll even take me.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. There's a couple of them that I've been talking to. Either Arizona or New Mexico has a disability, more like focused unit for elk.
That's cool.
So I'm gonna start applying for that one.
So what is next on your list? Like what's next in your sights?
Whitetail and mule deer. Gonna try and get out there to South Dakota with a buddy sometime in the next few months. See if I can knock part of the deer slam off.
So if you're listening to this, I've got a lot of friends who are outfitters. If you're listening to this, reach out to Evan and get him on a hunt. Like, let's get this guy the Super 10. Am I right?
Yeah, I'd love to be the first one in a wheelchair to do it.
Man, you've already got to be the first in a wheelchair. I might be wrong, dude.
As far as I know, I talked to Grand Slam, and they said I'm the only one in a wheelchair that's even attempting to do this.
I can't even. People who have aspirations and people who have even made a run at the Super 10. Let's throw out the 29. Like, in today's economy, the Super 10 is just as incredible to me as the 29. And here's why. Because to complete the 29, like, you just have to have crazy amounts of money and time, and which is cool. I mean, if you can do the 29, great. But for me, the 10 is not only more achievable, but also far more realistic for most guys, as far as just finances and time goes. Because there's part of the 29
for
that.
The working man,
Say that again.
For the everyday working man on a regular family type income, the 10 is a lot more attainable than the 29.
And to be honest, to me, it's just as good of a feat. I mean, now don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything from the guys. I've got lots of friends who have completed the 29. I'm not taking anything from your Fred Eichlers and your Chuck Adams and your Frank Noskas. Like, those are all three good friends of mine. And I'm not taking anything from their accomplishments, but again, they did it. You know, you look at Frank or you look at Chuck and Fred. You know, they did it when sheep tags were 50% less, and easier to draw because people weren't doing it. And again, not taking anything from those guys.
Those guys are icons in the hunting.
Yeah, 100%. And those hunts are incredible to do, and I'm not even saying that drawing is the hardest part, because hunting those animals is ridiculously hard. However, by completing the 10, you have shown that you can hunt all 10 species in North America, and you've put in the time and the effort, and it's a phenomenal feat, man. And it's just something that's incredible to see. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Now, how do you even begin to train for a hunt like that? Like,
that was a long one. That one, they talked to me about it in, I think, 2020 sometime. And I dedicated 2 years almost to just working my butt off to try and get mentally and physically in shape the best I could. I was doing 2 to 5 miles a day in my wheelchair as actively as I could to try and raise my cardio and lose some weight and just feel better about myself.
Yeah, I bet, man. But that's also something, you're not only relying on your own physical abilities at that point, you're relying on the physical abilities of your buddy. I mean, you've got to tell your buddy, hey, you've got 2 years to get ready to push me around a mountain.
He knew from the start what he was getting himself into, and he was ready for it from the start. He wanted to see me successful out there.
That's so cool, man. I wish I had buddies like you. My buddies. Well, here's what I can tell you: you'll never want to hunt with me. I'm going to tell a story here. Sorry to my brother-in-law and one of my best friends, Mr. Adam Leichner, one of my hunting mentors. One time we were going down on a hog hunt in Texas and, Oklahoma, hog hunt in Oklahoma. And like a week before the hunt, dude tears his ACL, like completely just blows his ACL up. And we were going into this hunt planning on just running and gunning down these pigs and chasing pigs all week long. And so he was bummed out, and I'm like, dude, just come, man. They've got blinds. Like you can sit in a blind. You'll see pigs. We'll have fun. And he's like, all right, and so we crippled that boy down to Oklahoma and we end up having to sleep in the truck overnight. And so he's laying with his leg out the window trying to sleep at night. And it was just a mess. But we get down to Oklahoma and we put him in a blind and we come up with this plan. We're like, all right, Gimpy Adam, we got to take care of Adam. And I'll just say this. I was with 3 dudes who are killers. Like they're trigger men. They're not like count it down and let's be buddies. If I see a pig, I'm shooting it. But we had devised this plan and it was, all right, Adam's in this blind. There's a patch of woods over here. We're going to make a big loop around the back and we're going to push these pigs out. And Adam's going to have a heyday shooting these pigs as they run out. That was our plan. And I meant all intents purposes to do good by Adam. Again, he's my brother-in-law, my best friends. Like I love the dude to death. We meant good by what we were trying to do. However, when pigs would get up and run, we would shoot them because they're pigs and I like to kill pigs. And they were running right towards Adam, but they would get up 40 yards in front of me. So I would just blast off and kill these pigs. So there's 3 of us plus our other buddy who didn't have a gun, but was hunting with us, pushing these pigs. Yeah. Well, Adam hears what sounds like World War III. He hears bow, 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 bow. And so we're getting text messages saying, dude, what is going on in there? Like, what's happening? And we're sending him pictures of these dead pigs. And he's like, well, I haven't seen anything yet. And we're like, yeah, it's because we keep shooting them right when they get up. And vice versa, man. I've got friends that treat me the same way. I was on a bear hunt and you see a bear and you don't get on it quick enough. So your buddy's like, well, dude, I'll smoke it. Pop, and the bear's dead. And you're like, dude, I was getting my gun. Like, what are you doing? And like, yeah, I got to it quicker. And I'm like, well, fair enough, I guess. So you got to have some good friends to be able to complete this. I'm just telling you that. Trust your friends and don't give them a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's what I'll tell you. Yep. Whenever I invite you on a hog hunt, just tell me like, Dylan, you're not taking a gun with you. Like I'll take the gun. You're not taking one. But man, on that same hunt, though, I got a little bit of payback because we found some pigs and we made a stalking on these pigs and we all get down and we're laying prone and I tell my buddy, I said, all right, count them off and we'll all shoot. Cause there was like 40 pigs and he's like, all right. And and he gets down and I hear 1. And I'm like, dude, I didn't even have time to shoot. Cause I thought you were going to count. He's like, I thought I counted down. I'm like, no, you didn't count down. I'm like, you said 1 and then shot. And he's like, wow, sorry, dude. There's pigs in front of me. He's like, I killed 4 of them. I'm like, yeah, we could have killed 12 of them if you would have counted down. But man, we all like to kill stuff, Yeah. So bear hunting. Both of your bears were in Oregon, I'm guessing.
Yeah, Southern Oregon. No. We had we're allowed 2 fall bear and 1 spring bear if we can draw the tag. Spring tags are a draw hunt, but there's usually a majority of people that get the tag. I don't remember how many they allot every year, but it's enough that most of the Southwest area has a tag.
Now, can you bait black bears in Oregon?
No, not in Oregon. It's just spot and stock and find them on berry patches and clear cuts.
All right. So let's just take a step back because the Brooks Range of Alaska is intense.
Yeah.
But Oregon gets pretty stinking crazy pretty quick. And there's some crazy country in Oregon.
There's some clear cuts that I've looked down and I'm like, that's 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Straight down. And there's no road at the bottom. I can't do this.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever heard of a little place called Hell's Canyon, but it's real. And I've seen bears shot in Hell's Canyon and thought, how in the world do you get in and how in the world do you get out?
Yeah. So I have buddies that have shot deer and elk down there too, and they said the same thing. They're like, man, I should have second guessed myself.
No kidding, man. So you're looking at, I mean, those bears in Oregon are, I mean, from my standpoint, just as cool as a caribou in Alaska, because you're spotting stalking bears in some crazy country. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried to spot and stalk bears, especially in the crazy West. I mean, if you're Clay Newcomb, you can do it in Arkansas where it's easy. I'm just kidding, Clay. I grew up in Northwest Arkansas, right where Clay did that incredible feat. But dude, spotting and stalking bears in Oregon is no easy thing to do. And you've already tackled 2 of them.
No. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. I got a cinnamon and I have that black one on the wall. The cinnamon's still at the taxidermist. I'm going to do a rug for her.
Wow. So, and here's what's impressive to me is you could have very easily said, you know what, I'm going to jump over to Idaho where you can bait. I'm going to have somebody drive me to a blind and I'm going to shoot a bear at 40 yards over bait. Easy. Yeah. But you're not taking the easy route on any of this.
Nope.
Wow.
My easiest hunt was probably, to be honest, believe it or not, was my antelope in Wyoming.
Which I could see that. So I'm guessing over water.
My buddy and I were out there. No, they were feeding across a little ridge. My buddy drives a truck that they weren't afraid of, apparently, because we were driving through some of the fields and they didn't even hesitate to just keep feeding while we were there. We literally got out of the truck, got my track chair out of the bed of the truck, got off of the dirt road far enough that I was comfortable. And I think my buck was 95 yards from me.
Wow.
And didn't even hesitate to stop and look at me a couple of different times before I shot.
Incredible, dude.
Yeah.
You're a stinking man. That's all I'm going to tell you. You are a legend among men. That's a man among boys. You are doing things that other people make excuses are too hard and too difficult, and you're doing them in a wheelchair. So kudos to you, man. That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I've always been like that. Like I said, there's been times where I've doubted myself, but I'm getting back to finding myself and figuring out what I want to do with life. And it's definitely been tough at times, but I'm not going to give up anymore. I've put too much effort into getting this far. I'm not going to stop anytime soon.
Dude, what an inspiration, man. And I don't say that lightly. There are very few people that I can say. I shouldn't say very few. But there are people who have inspired me in life, and hearing somebody who's willing to chase down a dream of doing something that some people say is obtainable in perfect health and doing it in a wheelchair is just absolutely insane. So, and used to, I would have said that Josh Carney inspired me, but now he doesn't even inspire me because you've taken it a step further than Josh. So Josh, you got to step your game up, boy. I've also been to
he's pretty damn inspiring too.
No. I've been to the gym with Josh, and especially on leg day, he's a slacker, man. He's a slacker on leg day. I'll tell you that. We were all busting our butt on leg day, and he's over there just on a treadmill, just rolling along. And I'm like, Josh, dude, and he's like, I'm working out. Like, what, dude? I can go for miles. No, I'm just kidding. Josh is a phenomenal dude. Josh is incredible. Now I'll just say this. We've talked bear hunting. I love bears. If you listen to the last episode of Cook Wild with Justin Spring, we talked about sweet and sour bear, one of his famous recipes. And I wore this shirt for that reason. If you look right there, it says sweet and sour on the bear recipes. So guys, the 0% vegan shirt is in stock at typicalsportsman.com. Go check it out for our Cook Wild shirt. Basically, this entire bear breakdown was done by recipes that we actually love. I've seen these shirts done before, and it's like, dude, you've never made that out of that. But these are all things that we love, that we think bear actually does really good in. So go check out the 0% vegan shirt at typicalsportsman.com for all you bear hunters, or for anybody that just wants to show off and make all your vegan friends mad. Now, you mentioned that next on your list is whitetail and mule deer. What's the next species on your list? You've already knocked off deer. So if you were to say the next species on my list is what?
Rosie. I want to get an elk really bad.
Now, that's just basically coming down to drawing it, though.
Actually, from out here, I can do an over-the-counter tag as a resident. So on the west side of the state, it's a over-the-counter tag for archery elk.
Very cool. So when are you going to try to make that happen?
I've been trying for a few years. It just hasn't quite happened yet. But every year I get a little bit better at figuring things out. So I'm going to keep trying at it.
Now, and don't take me wrong when I say this, but I'm guessing none of these, you can't do any of these solo. Like, you have to have people out there with you, correct?
Yeah, the only one that I did solo was one of my blacktail because it was on private property. And so that one was a little easier to do because I could get up to it and then get it down onto the driveway with my track chair.
Yeah.
But I still needed a little bit of help from one of my buddies. So I called him just to get it up into the truck and actually get it out to his house. But the hunt itself was solo completely.
And that's another thing that is a whole nother layer to this obstacle of trying to do this.
Yeah.
You can't just draw an elk tag and go out and say, I'm going to go kill an elk. I mean, you've got to have a buddy willing to take off and put in the time, effort, and work with you. So that's a whole other aspect to this.
Yeah. Yep.
Man, that is so absolutely incredible. Now, what's your dream? Like, if I could say, I'm going to send you on one hunt tomorrow, money's no object, time, effort, tags, no object. What hunt are you choosing?
I want a white ram really bad. I really wanted all sheep.
Oh, doll sheep and stone.
All sheep.
Doll and stone are just sexy. Like I know all the sheep. All the sheep are hard to hunt. All the sheep are a cool trophy. But doll and stone are like, just, if you've got one on your wall, I'm gonna sit there and salivate over it for a little bit because they're just sexy.
Yeah. When I was up there at camp, there was 3 or 4 already harvested, and I got to put my hands all over them and drool on them. And the magic number is 40. I want to find a 40.
Man. Yeah, I would have to say, and a lot of people kind of gasp when I say it, but like, if you were to say, Dylan, we're going to send you on any hunt tomorrow, your wife's not going to be mad. Money's no object. You got the tag. You've got the plane ticket. It's probably going to be a coastal brown bear.
Yeah.
I don't know why, man.
Yeah, I could see that.
I love bears, and coastal brown bears are just so big and magnificent. Like, for me, it would be coastal brown bear. Now, all of them are, I mean, I would love to kill a moose. I'd love to kill a caribou. All of those things are up there. But for me, coastal brown bear is like, it's just, it would be so cool to have a giant bear on my wall like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another one on my list. But if there was no obstacles in the way, doll sheep would be my number one.
And that's a good one to have up there. Now, how do you even begin? Like, so as somebody who is looking for the Super 10, do you put in for tags for all of the above and hopefully you draw one? Or do you focus on one at a time and then move on? Like how are you going about making it happen?
So for the caribou, I put in for that one, or I bought the tag because that one was an over-the-counter tag, even as a non-resident.
Yeah.
I'm really, really having like nightmares at times about the bear tag, because I had a grizzly tag for the same area. I was one of like 4 or 5 non-residents to have a tag up there. We had a bear come in the day we landed at Spike Camp, and we can't do anything until like 10 or 12 hours later. So that would have been another one to knock off my list to try and get another animal. So that would have been amazing. My buddy and I were watching this bear for a while, and it was at almost the same spot that I shot my caribou on the hillside. It was, we were guessing somewhere around 7 foot, just a big blonde body, big dark chocolate legs, square head, the typical inland Arctic grizzly like everybody would expect.
That's so cool.
And all we could do was watch it.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. Yeah, you can't some of you guys don't understand, you can't hunt the same day you fly in Alaska. So if you have, flown in, even if you didn't see it from the plane, I mean, if you land and see a bear, you can't legally shoot that bear. And that's something for a lot of guys that's hard to understand. And I've heard that story from a lot of dudes. They land in camp and they immediately find a giant Sitka or whatever they're hunting, but they can't legally shoot it. They didn't use the plane to kill that animal, but by law, you can't hunt the same day you fly. And that's something like, it's something that adds a whole nother layer of difficulty to that, because you're essentially burning that day, especially if you fly in the morning, you're essentially burning that day of hunting by knowing, like, it doesn't matter what I see, but we're going to put them to bed and we're going to know where they're at in the morning, but legally we can't shoot those animals today. So what, do you have any other,
really eats them too.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Do you have any other Alaskan hunts planned out yet, or?
Not yet. I keep putting in for a couple of them. Elite Hunt Club does one every once in a while, and I put in for it. I think this time was the moose and the brown bear, and it was $40 for a raffle ticket. So I figured, why not throw some money into a good organization like that to help out and get an opportunity to see if I can get a moose or a brown bear, or both maybe.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother layer of this that I haven't even brought up yet, is organizations that raffle off these hunts, auction off these hunts. It's a great way. If you've got aspirations to kill the 29 or the 10, or even the deer slam. Pope and Young just raffled off an entire deer slam, all 5 deer species for one ticket. It's a great way
I put in for it too. I was crossing my fingers.
Yeah, well, this will come out a couple weeks after I say this, but I'm actually drawing that tonight. So we're going to know who wins that tonight. So, but that's a great way, not even on raffles, but on auctions. I mean, if you go to a Pope and Young convention or a Wild Sheep, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, you can get some incredible hunts on auction that you will never be able to afford otherwise. Last year we did an auction at the Pope and Young convention for a combo brown bear, doll sheep, caribou, and there was another animal. I don't even remember what the last one was, but 3 of the big game animals, and ended up going for like $25,000. And I'm like, guys, you can't kill one of those animals for 25, much less all 3 of them. So I would encourage you guys.
Yeah, right. Like, that's less than the price for the doll sheep.
Right. So I would encourage maybe it was mountain goat, brown bear, and that's what it was. It was mountain goat, brown bear, and black bear. Those 3 animals, which still is insane.
That's still a really reasonable price.
So I would encourage all you guys, you're not only supporting an incredible organization, if that's at a Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, a Wild Sheep Foundation, Pope and Young, Boone and Crockett, wherever you get that auction from, you're not only supporting great organizations, but you're also getting incredible hunts with some of the world's best outfitters. That was with Perrin's Rainy Pass
Yeah.
Lodge, which, if you know anything about Perrin's, they're one of the largest and longest outfitters in Alaska. So that was with one of the best outfitters you could ever choose to go with. So you're not only supporting a great organization, but you're also getting some incredible hunts. So definitely keep your eyes on those. If you go to like, what is it? liveauction.com or liveauction.org. Just try it. Just search live auction.
Okay.
Or huntauction.com, those types of websites, all of those organizations host through those. And you can bid on them straight from your house. You don't even have to go to Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation to bid online. So do those because you'll get some incredible hunts.
Yeah, I'm planning on going to the Wild Sheep Convention again in January just to see who all's there. I went there a couple of years ago, met a bunch of different people I've followed through Facebook and Instagram, and made some really good connections.
Wild Sheep is probably one of my favorite shows. I will say this: everybody there is in a different tax bracket than me. However, it's an incredible show to meet some incredible people, some of the best outfitters in the world, to see some legendary tags being sold. It's an incredible place to go. So, man, where can they follow you at? Obviously, everybody that's listening to this is going to want to keep up with your journey. So where can they follow that journey at?
So I'm on Facebook, first and last name, Evan Brannock. And then my Instagram is Making Tracks Outdoors.
Guys, go follow him because as he kills these animals, you're going to want to celebrate with him and be there with him because this is it's an incredible journey he's on. And I mean, the smile says it all, man. He's excited to be doing what he's doing. He's inspiring people and he's making a difference that will reach people other than himself. So guys, go check out Evan Making Tracks Outdoors on Instagram. That's where I found him. And just an incredible inspiration. So Evan, I'm rooting for you, man. I'm in your corner. I'm cheering you on. I'm now your biggest fan. I'll say that. So go check him out, go follow him. And if there's anybody out there, I believe there's people out there that can help you. I believe there's people out there that say, well, hey, I've got a place you can come kill elk or you can come kill mule deer. Reach out to him. Let's make this happen. So let's rally the community and make sure that he can complete a Super 10 because this is just an incredible feat. So Evan, keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep inspiring people. Keep making a difference. Keep being the change you want to see. Guys, if you've learned anything from this, it's quit being a wimp and get out there and do it. It's not too hard. There's not too many obstacles. I know it's expensive. I know it takes time. But if you want to make it happen, get out there and do it. And Evan's living proof of that. So, guys, if you're a traditional archer and you have not checked out Three Rivers Archery, what are you waiting for? Three Rivers Archery is your one-stop shop for all things traditional archery. They have the largest in-stock selection of traditional archery equipment anywhere. Same day shipping, very, very, very knowledgeable. Listen, I use Three Rivers all the time. If I've got a question on tuning, if I've got a question on broadheads, if I've got a question on brace height or anything like that, I use Three Rivers for everything. They know the products because they use the products. Three Rivers Archery is by far the gold standard when it comes to traditional archery. So guys, if you're just getting into traditional archery, I would encourage you to use Three Rivers as a resource for knowledge and understanding and growing and learning, and as a place to get all those products that you're going to be needing as you take this journey. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Y'all have a fantastic week.